Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of PATS Nation Nightly. I am Zach Ventola, as always, joined by Ben Belford-Peltzman. Ben, how are you doing today?
Fantastic. I'm excited for another show. We aired 2 days ago and we're airing again today because we have massive breaking news coming from Foxborough today. Defensive tackle Davon Godchaux is re-signing with the Patriots. He got extended for a 2-year contract worth up to $21 million. $16.5, I believe, is guaranteed. Something that we kind of saw coming. His agents, Drew and Jason Rosenhaus, were at Patriots training camp practice on Monday. They were seen talking to Patriots executives Matt Groh and Elliott Wolf. So it is something that was expected, especially after the kind of scary situation surrounding Christian Barmore. We kind of saw that coming, but nevertheless, it was a good deal. It was expected. And Godchaux was talking to reporters in the media at training camp last week about how he was pretty unhappy about the situation that was happening. And it's kind of a good thing to see when a player gets rewarded for his play. And in this case, Godchaux does.
Absolutely. Again, as you had said, the Godchaux's agents were at training camp on Monday, or on Sunday, and that really seemed to facilitate a deal. And yeah, it's really important that the Patriots are able to, again, retain their in-house talents, and they continue doing that with Godchaux. And although Davon Godchaux plays a very different role in the Patriots defense than Christian Barmore, I do still have to think that this was, in a way, a cause and effect, where Barmore is out potentially for the whole season. The Patriots understand that they need some more depth and talent in the interior defensive line, and because of that, they're able to retain Godchaux. Ben, do you think that this deal was mainly because of Barmore's situation, or was this going to happen regardless?
I think it was a mix of things. You kind of got the sense, even before Christian Barmore, that he was starting to hold in, per se, of training camp, wasn't participating as much. And the Patriots had the cap space to do something like this. So I think the Christian Barmore thing escalated it a little bit. I think talk started to ramp up. But also, it's been a theme this offseason. The Patriots have been extending and re-signing players, either that they've drafted or that they've been in New England for quite a while. You've seen that all the way starting with Kendrick Bourne, Hunter Henry on the offensive side, Ramondre Stevenson on the offensive side, and on the defensive side, Jabril Peppers. Now with Judon, Kyle Duggar, Josh Uche. So all sorts of homegrown talent, although Godchaux entered the NFL in 2018 as I want to say 5th round selection with the Miami Dolphins. He then moved to the Patriots in 2021 and signed, I was like a $15 million contract, 70 years there, got extended, and now gets extended again.
Yep. And with this new deal, again, 2-year extension to $21 million total, $16.5 million fully guaranteed. This will take him into, I believe, his age 33 season. because again, it is an extension, so he gets to play out his current contract and then he gets 2 additional years after that. So Godchaux potentially going into his like retiring years with the Patriots, potentially a guy who's going to stay here for the rest of his career before retirement. Moving on now, Matthew Judon. This is probably the most important and interesting situation with the Patriots right now. A lot going on, a lot of moving pieces. Judon wanting a new contract, Patriots seemingly not budging. Ben, what do you got with Matthew Judon?
Yeah, so this is one of these things that he said, she said, they said, right? You have Diana Rossini of The Athletic reporting today that, hey, the Patriots offered Judon a contract in the last 48 hours, kind of since that conversation happened between him and Gerard Mayo at practice. Then she went back on that, saying that they've offered Judon a contract since training camp had started, which would be last week. And then you have Judon on Twitter saying, none of this is true. It's making me look like a bad guy. Lies, lies, lies. So you have two sides here. Obviously, Judon the player and then a reporter. So you obviously go with the player on this. But my question is, why don't you budge if you have so much cap space, if you have so much resources, if you know that Judon helps you so much, which he does. He elevates himself, like we were saying last show, but he also elevates others. And that is so important. And he is the only, like we were saying, he's the only really blue chip player, especially on the defensive side of the ball, which, I mean, you need someone like that if your offense is struggling. I don't see why they don't give Judon the money.
I agree. And for me, it was this whole time, okay, they're going to wait to pay Judon for a little while. Maybe they get the Peppers extension done before, but then pretty much right after that, it's going to be Judon's time to go and get a new deal. Again, the whole time I was thinking, well, they might want to extend Davon Godchaux, but there's no chance at all that it happens before the Godchaux extension. No chance that Godchaux happens before Judon, excuse me. So again, it's very interesting and especially important now that Godchaux got his new deal.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and we kind of touched on it on Monday when we had a show, is the stuff that Judon was doing. Both sides can have a fault there. Um, Judon was not being the best. I mean, not being the best captain. Like, I know he's not a captain, but like, wait, has he been a captain yet or no?
I don't think so.
I don't think he has. But so that's not being the best teammate. Teammate is a perfect way to say it, right? He was on that trash can, right? Kind of slouching and storms off. Like, he said 2 weeks ago that, hey, I'm gonna play on this contract. You'll see no issues. Sure, I'm unhappy about it, but I'll be the bigger man. And I mean, actions speak louder than words. In the last couple of days, his actions have been pretty telling.
Yep. And just for a little timeline of things, on Monday, that is when Judon was at practice. He was in attendance for not too long though. He came out early, played past with the fans as he always does, and then didn't have his pads on. Went out, sat on an overturned trash bin, watched the defensive line and linebackers warm up, wasn't participating. Spoke with Gerard Mayo. Again, still not participating, not in pads. Left the field and had what was described as an animated conversation with Matt Groh and Elliot Wolf, two of the most important, most powerful people in the Patriots front office. Then that same night, Monday night, the Shut Up Mark podcast from Mark Lewis was released. Now, this was recorded in advance. Not exactly sure on the timeline of when it was recorded, but it was before this whole fiasco. But Monday night, it is released. There are a lot of quotes from Judon about his contract displeasure, including mentioning that he wrote out his own contract, not his agents, not the team sending him a contract. Matthew Judon, on his own, wrote out a contract, sent it over to the Patriots. No response. He also mentioned that he doesn't want to be the bad guy, but, quote, it's like, shoot, help me out. We got the most cap in the league right now. Again, wants a new deal, isn't getting it. The Patriots seemingly are not budging. And then Tuesday, the next day, and yesterday, Judon was not at Patriots training camp, not practicing, and it was reported that he did not report to the Patriots facilities. Now, today, Ben, as you had mentioned, there was the report from Diana Orsini that the Patriots had made a new contract offer to Matthew Judon, and within minutes, Judon responded to this and said, quote, "No, they haven't, but it makes me look bad again. Don't believe the lies." So there's just so much going on here. Seemingly something that never really happens in New England, or at least hasn't in over a decade, probably longer than that even. So it is a interesting situation to follow, to say the very least. Ben, do you think that there is a resolve here? Do you think something's going to come with it? New contract?
Honestly, I think I would not be surprised if a trade ends up happening. Um, and then the question begs is what's the value of someone like Judon? And right now I could see him getting anywhere between a third round pick to a sixth round pick.
Yeah.
It could be a fifth and a player for him, a fourth and a player for him, but I don't think his value is much higher just because he's gonna want that money, first of all. And second of all, he's old in age. Um he's getting he's in his 30s, right?
Yep.
And you're gonna have to pay him anyway. So I don't think the value for him is gonna be much higher than a second round pick in return.
Yeah, it's not going to be that much. Unfortunately, he is entering his age 32 season. He's 31 right now, turns 32 in about 2 weeks. So for a guy like that, where sure, he is incredibly talented. Matthew Judon is one of the best edge rushers in the entire NFL, a consistent Pro Bowler, All Pro candidate, even Defensive Player of the Year candidate. But when you're coming off of a season ending injury where you only played 4 games that year because of it, and now you're going into your age 32 season and are demanding a new, probably pretty hefty contract, it's going to be difficult for teams to pay up and not only give that contract out, which the Patriots haven't even seemingly wanted to do, but also to have to give a pick on top of that. Even if it's a sixth rounder, fifth rounder, teams might not want to do that. That could be the big, the difference maker. It reminds me a lot of, and this is an example that's been brought up, of Stephon Gilmore, where with the Patriots a few years ago, he was shipped out for nothing. He was going to get cut. Then he was shipped out to the Panthers for a seventh rounder or sixth rounder. And because of that, he was out of New England. He wanted a new contract. Patriots weren't going to pay up. Very similar situation here. Ben, once again, I'm going to keep asking these Judon questions because there are so many to be asked. But do you think, how big of a difference did these last few days make, especially with the storming off of the field? Obviously, that doesn't help this situation, but how much do you think it does hurt it?
Yeah, it hurts it more than it helps it in Judon's case, right? It kind of Judon was always this vibrant guy. He always talked to the media. He always was one of the first guys there after a loss, always one of the last guys there after a win, talking about press conferences. And it's difficult to see him act like this because you know the type of person he is. And who are we, the media, to criticize someone on the personality, how they act, if we don't really know everything? So that's kind of where I'm going at too. Is we don't really know all the details, but it's just unacceptable to act like that on a football field. And it's football. At the end of the day, it's football. It's also business. I get that, but it's football, and you're playing. Something that you love and you love to do, and it's a business. But sometimes you just you might not always get what you want.
So at this point in time, do you think it is more likely that Matthew Judon is a Patriot next year, or I guess this upcoming year, or do you think that he's not going to be?
Uh, I honestly think we're gonna find out within the next week. I could see it go either way. The betting odds I would have is I think he's a Patriot. I've just seen Elliot Wolf, and he's been spending money this offseason on players that are on the team. I think that could easily continue. There's just one more name to check off that list. Last name to check out the list is Matthew Judon. Um, and I think he ends up doing it, but it might not be lucrative of a contract, of lucrative as a contract as of Matt Judon wants.
And again, if this deal happens, would you expect that it is just a pay bump for this upcoming season, or do you think that they're going to give him a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year extension?
I think it'll be a pay bump and they'll reevaluate at the end of the season, which I won't want. What are your thoughts? I don't know. That's a good question. Because that's what they kind of did last year with Trent Brown, Matthew Judon. That's kind of what they've done with these veterans. But I don't know. That's definitely a good question.
I personally think that it has to be an extension. I just don't see Judon just taking the pay bump. In all honesty, I think that he wants this kind of job security in a way over these next few years rather than just taking an extra little bit of cash for this upcoming season. It's tough to say. Obviously, we're outside of this situation. We're not speaking with Matthew Judon or his agents. We're not inside of the Patriots building. But I just don't see how he could take this little extra pay bump. And especially because before it didn't seem like that much of a big deal to him. He obviously wanted this new deal, this new contract, but he wasn't holding out. He was still practicing, still participating. But now that everyone else has gotten an extension, now it seems like uh, it's made him more annoyed and has really elevated the situation to a whole new level in, I guess, the worst way possible. But I just really do not see how he would accept a little pay bump. I think that he's really pushing for a new, longer term extension.
Yeah, that's a good point. You bring out a great point, and I think, like I just said, we're gonna find out in the next few days. With that being said, if you guys, I see there's one question in the chat. Whoever's watching, feel free. We haven't really done a Q&A in a while, so please feel free to drop any questions you have. And today is going to be a little bit of a shorter show, but I would love to spend some time. We'd love spending some time to answer your guys' questions. So first off, from you want to put it up there?
Yep.
Drake May's performance so far in camp hasn't looked great. What can he change going forward? Okay, so this is a common theme of Patriots fans' reactions, and I feel pretty strongly about this. Everyone going into the draft a couple months ago has said that he wasn't going to start this year. Everyone has said it's going to take some time. I went on tangents and lots of rants saying Drake May is the youngest quarterback in this class. He's the least experienced quarterback in this class. He might have the highest ceiling, besides Caleb Williams, but he is not experienced, right? He was 21. He only played 2 seasons at North Carolina. And now all these guys are like, why is he not pro ready? Why is he not going to start? He's not experienced. He's young. And that's okay. But you have to understand you can't have it both ways. Like, there's a reason why all the media, why all the scouts and evaluators were saying Drake May wasn't experienced. Maybe that's a lack of arm talent. Maybe that is his footwork. Maybe that's accuracy issues. Whatever it is on the tape, he's not ready at the pro level. And what I've seen from him is he's been adjusting well. He had a bad day a few days ago. He came back, had a better day. Hopefully tomorrow he will have an even better day and build on that. But what he has to do right now is just build on these days, right? Get a little better each and every day. And I'm really not worried. We're at like day 6 of camp right now. Like,
Yeah.
it's so far down the checklist for the Patriots to worry about right now that I'm not even worried at all.
Yeah, he's having growing pains, and that's expected. He's a rookie quarterback. He was seen this whole time as a project quarterback. I'm not worried about it because this was kind of expected. And while he has looked inaccurate at times, and especially on, I believe it was Monday when he had a bad day, but he has looked inaccurate at times. In 11 on 11s, he's going with, for the most part, going with the second team offensive line, which has not been in his favor. It has been bad with that second team O line, especially because there are some injuries with the starters and with the backups. Guys like Cole Strange being out. David Andrews hasn't been out there these last few days. Jake Andrews has been on PUP. So Drake May is not being helped out by this offensive line. And in 11s, it really shows. I think that is the most important thing for him right now is to just lock in on one-on-one drills, make sure you're accurate in there, make sure you're doing good in sevens, kind of work your way up, build your confidence back up through those, and then hopefully you're able to get a few starting looks with that first team offensive line, which, by the way, just going into training camp observations, has looked pretty solid these last few days. They have found a new starting offensive line rotation and they've stuck with it. First couple of days, they were entirely just going with different groupings every day. But now that they've done uh, from left to right, done Caden Wallace, City So, David Andrews, and Nick Leverett, as Andrews has been out of practice for the past couple of days. But David Andrews primarily, then Mike Nwenu at right guard, and Chukwuekorfor at right tackle. It hasn't always been perfect, but it has been much better than it was before. So Ben, what do you have with that offensive line? Just how optimistic are you with this new grouping?
Yeah, look, it all depends on a few things. There are definitely questions surrounding this offensive line. None more important than Cole Strange. Is he going to be healthy, right? Someone who was drafted in the first round a few seasons ago out of Chattanooga. Chattanooga.
Yep.
Chattanooga. Not. I was thinking of the song. Chattanooga. And he kind of sets like what is if he starts, if he doesn't start. Right now you have two rookies, right? um you have a Nick Leverett who's obviously filling in for David Andrews right now, but it's just there's so many questions, it's hard to gauge the actual starting five just because of the injuries. But as soon as some of these people start to get healthy, um then hopefully we can start to see a better protection for Drake May.
When Cole Strange is back, and I guess this is kind of dependent on how this offensive line continues to perform, but when Cole Strange is back, do you think they'll kick Mike Onwenu back out to right tackle and plug Cole Strange in on the starting O line, or do you expect them to just continue with this same grouping?
It all depends on if Cole Strange can come back and play at a level that he was drafted to play at. And we'll just kind of have to wait and see what happens, because the Patriots do have to have a good offensive line this season, better than last season, just because they're going to try to run the ball and they're going to try to pound the ball, and you need to have a capable offensive line to do that.
And just real quick, we got a report from Mike Reese that David Andrews' absence in these last couple of practices has not been injury related, has been due to something else. So hope all is well with him, but at the very least, good that he is doing well physically. Hopefully, he'll be back out there soon. Do have one more question from the chat. I'm not able to put it on screen because it is from Instagram, but from Patriots 3, what's our cornerback room prediction? That's a good one because it is a tight group. First of all, obviously, Gonzalez, both the Joneses, and Alex Austin, while he hasn't had a great camp, probably is going to make it. After that, do they carry 5? Do they carry 6? And who are those extras going to be? Ben, I'll let you take it first.
It's tough. It's really tough. I like Isaiah Borden a lot.
I do as well.
I don't know if he counts as that specialist or in the defensive back room. But I really like him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there is already 5 or 6.
That's
I don't
5.
think
Yep.
5. Like they're probably gonna carry 7. So that's 2 spots between who the give me like the top. I don't have the roster right in front of me. You have um
I mean, there's a couple of
the new
you got
guys.
Marcellus Dial,
Yeah,
who would
Dial.
probably be the favorite to make it, I guess, after those few. But then you also have Sean Wade, you have Marco Wilson, Mikey Victor, rookie Azizi Hearn,
Yeah.
and I
Okay.
don't
I
think I'm
was
missing anybody
Yeah,
after
yeah, yeah.
that.
It's been a while since I looked at these players. I can't believe Sean Wade's still on this team. By the way, I thought he left the team. Well, that was mean of me to say, but I think Dio has the upper hand, and Marco Wilson, who recently signed an extension or a deal. It wasn't a big one, but he definitely. I think it's gonna be him. I think it's gonna be Dio, and I think it's also gonna be Marco Wilson.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. And then one more question from the chat, and if anyone else has questions, feel free to put them in. But we'll put this one up from Ken. Thoughts on the rookie wide receivers, Javon Baker and Jalen Polk? I'm just going to start it off. They've been very impressive. Baker had a bit of a slower start to camp. He wasn't really showing as much as Polk was, who Polk has been a lot more consistent. But these last couple of days, man, Javon Baker has been incredible. Just some of the grabs he's able to make and the talent that is there is impressive beyond belief and is something we haven't really seen in New England for a long time. So I'm really excited to see what they do this upcoming season. And Jalen Polk, like I said, he has been more consistent than Baker. I think he's making a push to be the Patriots wide receiver 1. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to really see it much on yesterday, because for whatever reason, the Patriots did most of their practice on the backfield, which is not really visible to the crowd. Usually they do it on the front field. But Polk, those first few days have been great. I'm excited to see him, and I think he really could make a push to be the Patriots wide receiver 1, even though it is hard to tell at this point because Kendrick Bourne has been out there and Demario Douglas has been limited.
Yeah. And those are good points you make. I think Jalen Polk is gonna definitely be this Patriots wide receiver 2, maybe even wide receiver 1, like you just said. And Javon Baker, if he just gets a little more consistent, he is definitely gonna be a star in the NFL. And with that, if there's no more questions, I think Zach and I are gonna be live again one more time this week. Probably looking at Friday because something tells me some Patriots news is gonna break in the next 24 to 48 hours. So we will have you covered. And as always, you can follow us on Instagram at Pats Nation
Oh, I'm not
Nightly
ready. I'm not ready.
or
Hold
on
on.
Twitter
There we
at
go.
Pats Nation Night. Oh, sorry, on X, I guess now. Still saying Twitter. I'm on X at Pats Nation Night. And I think that is all.
Yep. Thank you all for listening. Oh, we got one more question from Carlos in the chat.
Oh,
What
let's go.
position? What position would we play if we played football? Um,
Thank you
I'd
for the question. Zach,
I'd
you can go first.
unfortunately probably be on the offensive line.
I thought you were gonna say the left bench. But
Oh,
I will be the quarterback. Um, and throw for 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns.
of course you will. And we'll end it on that note again. Down below, Instagram Pats Nation Nightly, X Pats Nation Night. Thank you all for listening, and we will.
Thank you for listening. I think you just exited it out.
I got second, but we will see you in a couple of days. Good night, everybody.